I am co-founder as well as co-owner of ABC Fitness Connection. This is the first of many. I have never done this before, but I am testing something new to see how this goes. And this is almost like a dry run. Um, so bear with me as I navigate because I have never used this platform. But I wanted to try this out as a way to do a focus group on the effects of, not the effects of, but to discuss cannabis/weed. And this is a way where the responses will allow us to give funding for additional programs and things like that in Charles County or Southern Maryland. So I'm going to see how this goes. And if it goes well, then I'm on to something new. I'm going to keep this 30 minutes because I really want to make sure that I know what I'm doing. So it says screen sharing. So what is presentation? I'm going to cancel this and I'm going to go to presentation. Everybody has to start somewhere, right? Upload file. So I guess you upload the presentation, which that is a little new. I wonder if I should have uploaded this before I started. Anybody out there, if you're seeing this, feel free to share because I welcome your input. I'm a little bit intimidated when it comes to navigating this because I know my hat goes off to social media influencers because I know it takes a lot of hard work, especially when you're working on your content. And it's just about vision and goals and carving out the time and being able to navigate it. So I know it takes a lot of time to come up with content. So my hat goes off to all of those who are social media influencers. I salute you. So let's see. It says uploaded. So since it's uploaded, does that mean I can present it? Yes. So let's talk about cannabis and weed. I did this presentation because it gives a little bit of information about the topic in which we're going to be discussing. And then I'm going to have some questions, and feel free afterwards because I don't believe anybody's on here to share your input. So the second slide is we're going to do introduction to icebreaker where it's just me. So I'll tell a little bit about myself. I am co-founder, co-owner of ABC Fitness Connection located in Waldorf, Maryland. We've been in business now for over 15 years. But one of the awesome things about our business is that my husband and I are veterans in the military or previously in the military. So we pretty much wanted to give back to our community because the Black and Brown community was dying or not just dying, but were battling a lot of things when it comes to chronic diseases and things of that nature. This is going to be an icebreaker, but I'm going to skip over this. These are the different names that cannabis is called. It's pot. Back in my day, it was called the joint. It is called weed. A lot of these different names is new to me, but I do remember hearing Mary Jane because I'm a lover of Mary Jane. I remember Rick James singing that. I don't know if he was talking about weed or not. And I do remember blunt. So these are some of the names that it's called. All of this is going to be primarily focused on things that's happening in Maryland, but this does give you a little history background on about cannabis, and it's been around for quite some time, 250, 2,500 years, 2,500 years, which is something new to me to learn. The difference between THC and CBD, one is medically driven and one is not. So we just have to be mindful of that. So with the one that's medical driven, distilleries and things of that nature, they have to have a clinician there. The one that's on the street, it's a little harder to know what is in the product. So the key point number one is there are two chemicals in cannabis that is responsible for causing direct effects to the body. You have the THC, that's where you get the buzz, you get the high and things of that nature, but it also leads to other issues. And that's what we're going to get into. But the number one thing that people want is a psychoactive property in it, meaning the user feel high. The CBD is a little bit different because it's more medically driven. Cannabis is legal. It is legal in the state of Maryland, but we really have to be mindful of what legal means, because even though it's legal in Maryland for recreational as well as medical use, when it comes to college and things of that nature, this can gravely affect your grants or scholarships and things of that nature. So just be mindful of that. Can I use cannabis in Maryland? Yes, both recreationally as well as in a medical sense as well. The state has authorized marijuana, and is 1.5 ounces of a cannabis flower for anyone 21 and older. Also being mindful that I think it has to be within the vicinity of your home. It's not like you can walk around and smoke it, be at your workplace smoking it and things of that nature. I think it has to be at your home. Medical conditions is proven to help. It's proven to help these medical conditions. But once again, the cannabis on the street versus the cannabis that is medically driven, as well as the cannabis that's in distilleries, is three different things. Cannabis restrictions, these are the restrictions. We just have to be mindful of driving under the influence when it comes to marijuana, because it can affect your ability to be able to be reactive and be proactive when driving. The other key point with cannabis, when it comes to it being legal, it has created a lot of jobs. Look at this, 782,000 jobs. It's out of this world. This is based on Maryland. One of the key things that I want to hit home with this is that the wording is so small. I can't even read this and I have on my glasses. And then the warnings have to be more prevalent so people will be able to know what the warnings are when it comes to those who may smoke it or consume it, that's pregnant or breastfeeding. And then some of the reasons: wanting to fit in or peer pressure, medical purposes, things of that nature. Majority of young people. A sample of 4 high school kids, 75% of the high school kids potentially are using recreationally driven marijuana and weed. So in here, I do want to end with this. And the main thing is, I want to know, and I'm going to call it the top 5. What leads you to try cannabis? So if you want to respond to that, please feel free to share your answers on that. Do you believe in their perception of it being harm or risk when it comes to our youth? Do you believe that they think it's okay because it's now legal in the state of Maryland? And any ideas that you may have, and who should the state of Maryland or your community should partner with to make the programming more effective. I really think that it's an issue with the messaging. So we have to make sure that the messaging is clear and allow people to make educated decisions about the effects of cannabis and weed and things of that nature. Rather, and I like this when we did our previous focus group, it's three types or three different mechanisms when it comes to weed. You have your distilleries, you have your street slash recreational, and then you also have your medical. And how often do you hear it referred to as a gateway to drugs? Do you believe cannabis or weed is a gateway to other drugs like heroin or crack and things of that nature? Or do you think this is just something that people would take in? The the gateway may be just being a smoker of weed and a smoker of cigarettes and tobacco products and things of that nature. And do you think people understand the consequences of use, such as impaired driving or secondhand smoke exposure for kids? Not even just kids, but other people. So, those are my questions that I have for you. Please feel free to share. And thank you so much. And I believe the first go about went pretty successful. What are your thoughts? Never did this before. This is my first time. So feel free to share. Thank you so much.